Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show that's all about speaking your truth, sharing your stories, and sparking the conversations that matter most. I'm your host, Rodney W. Collins, and this is the Speak On It Show. On this show, we dive deep into the thoughts, experiences, and ideas that shape our world. It's a place where voices are heard, perspectives are celebrated, and discussions are not just encouraged, but cherished. Whether it's culture, politics, personal growth, or just life's everyday adventures, we're here to explore it all. We've got engaging interviews, thought-provoking discussions, and sometimes we might even stir the pot a little bit. Speak On The Show is where we challenge the status quo, celebrate diversity, and engage in conversations that make us think, laugh, and grow. So get ready to be inspired, get ready to connect, and most importantly, get ready to speak your truth. Without further ado, let's jump into today's episode. It's time for the Speak On It Show with your host, Rodney W. Collins. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome. I am Rodney W. Collins, and this is the Speak On It Show. First and foremost, giving honor to God who allows me to come at you in this manner on a weekly basis. How's everybody doing out there this morning? We're broadcasting live on the Rodney W. Collins channel on YouTube and Facebook every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. Tune in, like, share, subscribe, do what you do with all the other ones. Comment, say what you got to say, mean what you say. That's all we do here on the Speak On The Show. Like I said, after doing this for almost 13 years, you would think I would have this opening down to a pat, but I like to change it up a little bit because I don't want to get so comfortable at what I do that I lose fact of we got to change up every once in a while. Brian Hoodie, my brother, good morning. Appreciate your support, my man. James Battle, my man. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Sabrina Wooten, good morning. Appreciate you, cuz. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for everybody out there that is valued, not a fan, but a valued family member, because once you come into the Speak On The Show, you're considered family. So I appreciate everybody for coming in and supporting this show. April Whedon, my sister, good morning. Appreciate you. So, there's today's show. I want to dig into some things. We're going to do it in the news, of course. But there's three things that I want to touch on. One is in the straight talk. One is by itself. And then the one, in my coach's corner. But I'll give you a little precursor because in one of these segments, I want to talk about who's invited to the cookout. Because I want to bring this up because I've heard a lot of things, I've seen a lot of things, and it took me back to some things about and I'm going to get into this a little deeper, but I'm going to just touch on it. We invite a lot of people to the cookout because of different situations or what we feel they can contribute to the cookout. They don't look like us. Let me start there. They don't look like us, but we're quick to say he or she is invited to the cookout because of something that we identify as they may have a little rhythm. They may talk a certain way. They may have a desire to date black women. But we'll get into that as we go. But the other two segments is, one of them is Angel Reese, who's on the front of 2K26 NBA video game. But there's a lot of pushback on that, so we're going to get into that. And then I want to talk about someone that I really looked up to and still look up to, even though he's not here anymore, and that's Stuart Scott. So I want to touch on some things of that, and that one will be in the coach's corner because I want to give you something for you to take with you that'll give you something to really look at in a different way as far as what I want to present about my man, Stuart Scott. Kevin Banks, my brother, good morning. Appreciate you. But I do want to say this. Viewership is going up. I appreciate that. And this, like I say, I'll say this all the time. I don't do this for likes. I don't do it for views. I do it for impact. I put this out there so somebody, thought-provoking content that will make you think differently than you did before you turned on me this early Saturday morning. And you can always tell your friends that if they didn't catch it today, they can go back and watch it on YouTube or Facebook under the Rodney W. Collins channel. Because some people, they out doing their thing and everything, which is cool, but I don't hold it against anybody for not watching, for not getting the content and everything. But I will say this, just to put a little thought in your mind. I would ask, it's just, I don't usually ask for much, but I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask you, everybody out there, put as much effort into viewing my content as you do the celebrities that you may follow with their content. That's all I'm gonna say. Because you know me. We either grew up together, we served together, we family, any of those things. Give me a little bit of that focus time that you give to those people who are celebrities that you've never met and really could not care about you. Because I care about all y'all. But all I'm saying is, it's one of those things where we fall into this trap where we think or we feel that we can get more information from a celebrity or entertainer of someone we don't know than we can get from someone who we do know. Because the conversations we have one-on-one and different things like that, we all take something away from those conversations. And the conversations I have on here may be the same thing that, a Don Lemon or Ricky Smiley or any of them shows are talking about. But you can get it from there. But you can feel it from here because you know me and you know everything about me. Because like I said, we either grew up together, we've served together, or we're family. That's all I'm going to say. But we're going to go ahead and jump into this. I appreciate y'all again for tuning in. I love y'all. But let's go ahead and get into this. We're going to break this down. And let's go ahead and jump in the news. Let's go. In the news. Now, we've all heard about what's going to happen, and I've talked about it on here, about the big, beautiful bill that they call it and everything. Reggie P. wrote, my brother, good morning, appreciate you, about the big, beautiful bill and how it's going to impact Medicaid, and all the cuts is coming up. But one thing that I don't think a lot of people are really thinking about and talking about is when these things will take effect. Because they're not happening right now. The bill was signed. It passed through whatever it had to pass through. He signed it. It's stamped in concrete per se. But I don't think we're looking at the big picture of when these things take effect. They don't take effect tomorrow. They didn't take effect yesterday. This big beautiful bill, so they call it, most of the things other than the tax cuts being extended for the rich don't take effect until 2026. They don't take effect until 2026, and this is not by chance. What happens in 2026, you may ask? Let me help you. Midterm elections are in 2026. Midterm elections are in 20. So strategically, they have put these things in this bill, but they're not due to take effect until after the midterms. Because they're worried about, and I'm going to read this here, the delay in implementing some of the cuts from the big, beautiful bill, especially the programs like Medicaid and SNAP, is largely strategic. Here's why. Political timing, avoiding voter backlash. The bill includes deep cuts to social safety nets like Medicaid and food assistance. These changes could affect millions of Americans, including many Republican voters. Delaying them until after the 2026 midterm election helps minimize political fallout. Selling the upside first, tax cuts and benefits like deductions for tips, overtime, and child tax credits kick in immediately. You see, what they want you to think is they're giving you something before they take away what they're going to take away. There are popular and visible. These are popular and visible, giving lawmakers something positive to campaign on. So you're going to have these Republicans out here talking about the big, beautiful bill, but they're not going to talk about the cuts. They're going to talk about what you think they're giving you in as far as tax breaks, child tax credits, and all these different things. The staggered rollout comes into this. Some provisions like Medicaid work requirements are scheduled to begin in late 2026, while deeper funding cuts won't take effect until 2028. What's in 2028 presidential election? This gives states and agencies time to prepare. Into 2027, going to 2028, gives agencies time to prepare and give Congress breathing room to adjust if public opinion shifts. So they put this in there so they can kind of gauge where y'all at and your thinking and everything. So then they can say, yeah, but we're taking this away, but we did give y'all some tax breaks. Remember back before the midterm elections when we gave you the tax breaks kicked in and all that kind of stuff? This is where I say people need to wake up and really pay attention. And I'm going to resort back to something that I talked about for at least a good 2 years. And that's Project 2025, because everything that is happening right now that is written in ink on this big, beautiful, whatever you want to call it, was in Project 2025 and what they're going to do. All this, because most people only concentrated on the fact of the immigration. That's all they heard was immigration. And they wanted to close the borders and everything out because this is something that's been trumpeted since this man came down that escalator. So that's all a lot of people focused on, but they didn't focus on the other things. And by public perception management, what they're doing is they're minimizing the immediate disruption. Lawmakers know that sudden changes to healthcare and food benefits could spark protests and media scrutiny. A delayed rollout softens the blow and spreads out the impact. It's a classic case of political calculus. Give voters the sugar now and save the bitter medicine for later. Give voters the sugar now and save the bitter medicine for later. It's like when you got that kid, they don't want to eat. You got them peas. They ate everything. I don't want them peas. Then you get that spoon and you start acting like you got an airplane. And they open up and they laugh and everything and they eat it. Deception. It's deception. We all either was a victim of it or we did it to our own kids. It happens. It's what we do. We're deceptive humans. Let's just put it that way. But this is one of the things that they're doing. But also this week, well, they talked about it last week, but I didn't touch on it. Because normally I don't like talking about these people in this sense. However, this we need to talk about. Elon Musk has announced a forming of an American party in further break from Trump. Now, they've been arguing for a while now. So Elon Musk, because he has money, figured, I'll start another political party because I don't agree with this big, beautiful bill that they've written and put in because of the amount of cuts and money that the rich are going to get, but they're taking away from people. Now, this is Elon Musk thinking now. This is Elon Musk. But I'll ask this question before I even read any of this. When did, and it's probably been forever, but somebody help me. When did our political system become all about money as far as who can run, if they can run, and who's backing them? When did the money aspect become the main factor of becoming a politician? Because at this point, being a politician is a money grab. Let's just call it what it is. Becoming a politician or being a politician is a money grab. And it's also a popularity contest because a lot of people go to the polls and they vote for the same name they voted for year after year after year. If you don't believe me, just go back and watch Eddie Murphy's movie. I think it was Distinguished Gentleman, where he had the same name as the political person that had passed away from a heart attack. So when they were and a lot of people didn't pay attention. So when he was running, they never showed his picture. They just put the name up. I think it was Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson, if I recall, y'all help me. But they just had his name. And they talked about like he had already been there before because that's what the people gravitated to. And he won. And then when he walks in and they realize this is a black man and not the white Jack Johnson, all hell broke loose. We got to get out of this mentality of voting for people just because they've been there or not doing our research. So this third party, he asked on X, and I don't do X platform, whether a new U.S. political party should be created. Musk declared in a post on Saturday that today the America Party is formed to give you back your freedom, the America Party. By a factor of 2-1, you want a new political party and you shall have it, he wrote. The announcement from Musk comes after Trump signed his self-styled big, beautiful tax cut and spending bill into law on Friday, which Musk fiercely opposed. Now, remember, Musk was in the government for a while doing all these cuts, supposedly, where I don't think it was the cuts. I think it was just to get rid of people that looked like me in the government and a lot of other people, but, majority look like me. But at the same time, while he said he was in there to make these tax cuts, now, to help the deficit, now we're going to go even further into the deficit because of this so-called big, beautiful bill. And he's a little upset about it. But here's the other part. Elon Musk is South African. Elon Musk is South African. And a lot of people are jumping on his bandwagon because, first of all, he's not a natural born citizen here, which is one of the big pushes about the immigration thing. Let's just be honest. He has money and he has the public's ear. Why? Why? Because he has a complexion for protection. They were talking about deporting him, finding ways to deport him. Should he be here? Just like the one that just won the primary in New York. Now that he's a candidate for the mayor of New York, now they looking at all kinds of things, his background. They want to deport him. They want to do anything they can do to try to stop his ascension to the top. First thing they do is they ask, are you a citizen? Case in point, Barack Obama. Was he born here? Is he a natural born citizen? Should he be able to run? This is how the playbook they've been using over and over and over again. It's just like that old saying, are you black enough? Just saying, that old thing, are you black enough? Are you a real brother? You a real sister? And that comes amongst our own people. That comes from our own people. But also, we're going to leave that political party alone because I don't know. I don't truly know if this will come to fruition because, they had the Green Party, the independence, and all these different things. I'm not sure it'll come to fruition because anytime you throw another party in there, it takes votes away from somebody else, which this behind the scenes could be all in the plan. While he says he's going to make this other party, he's got people, looking at what he's going to do for him. At the same time, he's taking votes away from the Democrats to give to the Republicans for them to stay in power. You just never know. Do your research, find out for yourself. I'm not the end all, the be all, but I'm going to give you what I know and what I can understand and articulate it to you in the best way possible. Now, when we say articulate, that's a buzzword for when you sound educated as a black person. Let's just be real. Male, female, if you can articulate the English language and speak clearly, enunciate, and all the above, one of the things about President Obama, they always say he's a great orator. He's a great orator. Not about his policies, he's a great orator. He speaks well. It always puzzles me that they always bring up this fact of he speaks well or we speak well or we've the English language, we've professed it where we speak so eloquently. It's like, well, what do you expect us to speak or how do you expect us to speak? Yeah, can I speak the English language fluently? And I do it every morning on this show. But when I get around my boys, what's up, dog? Hey, how? It's a different vibe. It's a different scenario. It's the code switching that we talk about that we'll get into a little later. But this week, y'all's president, I'm going to say y'all's president, the person for me that sits in the office at this time, is amazed by an African president's good English, gleefully, and then they brought up the Nobel Peace Prize because, he's pushing this thing because Obama got one, he won one. Let's just be real. Netanyahu brought it up, said he nominated him, and all these African presidents they're bringing over, they're asking them about, that if they would vote for him for the Nobel Peace Prize because of what he did with the Congo and Rwanda a couple of weeks ago that I talked about. And now he has these African prime ministers and presidents. There's 5 of them, I think, in the Oval Office the other day, which we'll get into. But one, and I think he was the Liberia president, Joseph Nyuma Boakai. So when the president, when this person was talking to President Boakai, I'm gonna call him the president, President Boakai. He sat there and he looked at him amazed. Now, you got to watch the video. If you get a chance, pull up the video. But he sat there looking at him amazed that he could articulate every word that he wanted to say in the English language that he could understand. And he tried to throw this little joke out. He said, where did you learn to speak such great English? Not knowing that the language in Liberia is English, the English language. But he's looking at him and he's like shocked that he can articulate being from an African country, I guess. I'm assuming. But he looks at us the same way that are here. So that's another story. But to see that, it really makes you wonder, what is this all about with us being and looking at the African countries that we're looking at? But anyway, they said, my administration is committed to strengthening our friendship in Africa through economic development efforts that benefit both the United States and our partners, said Trump, who emphasized that the U.S. government was shifting its approach in Africa away from aid to more trade. Now, you remember I mentioned last week, or a couple of weeks ago, I think, that the only reason we're in Africa is because of what they can provide mineral-wise. I think it was for the batteries, cell phone batteries, and different things like that. Trump also discussed his recent hosting of foreign ministers from Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo on June 27, which the leaders signed a peace agreement after deadly decades-long war between the two countries, as I mentioned. And James Battle, you're not supposed to speak like that when you're from a shithole country. Boy, look here. You said it. I did. I didn't say it, Ma. He did. From a whole country. You're right. And that's the thing is people sit there and watch that, and it doesn't faze them. They don't look at it. Let's just be honest. They don't look at the racial undertones associated with that. You have never, ever seen them say that or seen anyone say that to someone that comes from a European country that does not speak English. When they come here, Macron's French, when he comes here and speaks English, and it's we call it broken English, nobody says anything. Nobody says anything. But when you come from, as James Battle said, an asshole country, and you can articulate the English language probably better than the person you're talking to, there's questions. Where were you educated? He even asked him that, where were you educated? What do you mean, where was I? Bruh, what we doing? What are we really doing? These are the things, they call them dog whistles. They're not dog whistles anymore. It's outright, upfront, in your face. I look at you because of your melanin content as being less than me. And because you can articulate the language that I speak probably better than me, now I got to ask a question. Where you learn that from? Who taught you that? That's basically what he's saying. What institution in America taught you the English language that you can speak it so eloquently? He might as well just said that rather than beating around the bush, say, where'd you learn that? And he's looking at him like he's fascinated. Like he's fascinated. You know how people go to the zoo and they looking at, let me shut up. Let me leave that alone. Let me leave that alone. But I also want to touch on this because this person said, praising an African head of state for speaking English so beautifully isn't a compliment. It's a reflection of how deeply colonial thinking continues to shape expectations. And this was from William V.S. Tubman III, a Liberian writer and grandson of former President William Tubman. And he also said what Trump said wasn't ignorance. It was disrespect and entitlement disguised as praise. Let me say that one more time because I really want y'all to hear this because this is where the rubber meets the road. What Trump said wasn't ignorance. It was disrespect and entitlement disguised as praise. So you keep that in mind next time somebody says you're a great orator, or you're very articulate, or you speak the English language so well. But then we got people that hear that, walk around with the chest out. He said, I'm a great orator. He said, I speak well. Yeah, but what does he think about you? Kevin Banks, does that guy they call president of the U.S. speak fluent English? No. No, third grade level. He can't even hold a whole paragraph without going somewhere else. You know how you talk to a kid? Let me shut up because I'm going to get myself in trouble. But you know what? This is my show. I can get in trouble. You know, you talk to a kid and you ask them a question and they go off about Barney and everybody else and never answer the question, but they rambling. That's what we have in the Oval Office. You ask him a question and he acts like he's answering the question. But then he was like, ooh, Starburst, Barney. Ooh, I used to have a purple shirt back in the day. He's on everything else except the question that was asked. Does he speak fluent English? Hit and miss. But I want to also bring this up while we're still talking about Africa and the people that met with him. Now, these two, the one in the hat is Liberia President Joseph Nayumo Boakai. And the other one is Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tugar. Now, I want you to concentrate on Yusuf because while they were in this meeting, at the White House, the administration floated to these African presidents and foreign ministers about accepting people that they're deporting due to immigration. They want African nations to accept it. And it says that South Sudan has recently accepted 8 third country deportees from the United States. And Rwanda says it's in talks with the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump on a similar deal, while Nigeria says it's rejecting pressure to do the same. Now, as I mentioned, this is the Nigerian, Prime Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tugar. He ain't having it. He ain't with it. He ain't going for it. And I'm going to cut through the chase and I'm going to just say exactly what he said. Mr. Bakai told the media in Liberia on Friday that third country nations were discussed, but that Trump had not directly asked Liberia to accept such deportees. They're not forcing anybody, is what he said, but they want us to know that this is the concern they have, and they are asking how we can contribute. How can we help? Now, that was the answer from Mr. Bakai, who spoke so eloquently. But now, Mr. Tugar, he ain't having it. He said such conversations were being held between U.S. representatives in several African countries, though he declined to provide details. But he did say late Thursday night that Nigeria would not bow to what he described as pressure to accept third country deportees, saying the country had enough problems of its own. So he ain't for it. He ain't going for it. The other 4 tried to say, well, it was brought up, but it was no pressure. Nigeria said, no, you ain't going to pressure me to take people when I got my own problems in my country. Take people you don't want to bring over to my country. No. It's like if I got trash, and I'm not calling these people trash, I'm just using an example. If I have trash in my house and I decide to take it out and put it over in your house, are you going to accept it? And like I said, I'm not talking about these people as trash, but something that you feel you don't want. You decide, well, you know what? Let me give it to these S-hole countries that James Battle mentioned. Let me get them in the mix because, as I mentioned before, these deals that they're trying to make in Africa are quid pro quo. Do this, and we'll do this. Give me your minerals, but you're going to have to accept these people. You're going to have to accept these people. Otherwise, there's no deals. We're not doing no deals with you. I'm not going to help you in any way. No how, no way. No how, no way. So they're looking at deporting people who are not citizens of these countries to countries in Africa to meet their deportation numbers that they want to do. They want to get them out of here by any means necessary and send them somewhere that they have no idea, no family, no roots to anything. They want to ship them there. So you remember, and I'm just going to say it this way. Remember back in the day, and probably still today, when we used to hear people say, "Oh, I'm sorry. Go back to Africa." Remember that? Probably still say it today. I heard it a couple of times in my life, in my travels, and my interactions. Well, if you don't like it, go back to Africa. They are literally trying to send people back to Africa. They have no roots in Africa. None. And I want to say this way. And it says, James Battle, where are they going to send the white immigrants to? Exactly. Where are they sending them? Nowhere. You know why? Because they're not looking for them. And I wish I had the numbers because I've talked about this before during immigration. But there are more. There are just as many, if not more, people in this country who have overstayed their visas from Europe and Asia that are considered now illegal immigrants. But the only concentration is on Black and brown people. Let's say that again. There are just as many people in this country that are now considered illegal immigrants because they've overstayed their visas in this country, but they're not looking for them. They're looking for Black and brown people to deport. Should tell you everything you need to know. Everything. And as James Battle said, they have not brought up where they're going to take any of the European people who stayed over their visas, but they round them up, if they even get to the point of rounding them up. They never talk about the Asian population that have overstayed their visas that are here, because understand something. When you say illegal immigration, you have to look at it from the broader sense. Illegal immigration is not just coming across the border, jump the fence or anything like that, or coming across a creek or anything like they try to let you think. Illegal immigration is if you come here legally on a visa and you overstay that visa. When it expires and you're still in this country, you're illegal. So people have to get out of this mindset that the only illegal immigration is coming from the southern border. No. They coming in on planes. They coming across from Canada. And a lot of them don't look or don't have the melanin content to be considered Black or brown people. But they're not looking for them. So when you bring up and they talk about this immigration issue for all them people that said it was number one on my agenda, that's why I voted for it. No, you didn't. Because if you voted for it, you would be upset about those people as well as you are about the ones that they're trying to round up at car washes, Home Depots, and the farmer fields, all those different places. You'd be upset about that just as much as you're overlooking the fact that the ones that are overstaying their visas here in this country. But you don't want it both ways. You want this agenda to be specifically what it is: Black and brown people. And I want to get into this before I go to this next thing, but I'm tired. I'm tired of hearing people say, I didn't vote for this. I didn't vote for this. Yes, you did. You voted for everything that is going on with this administration when you went to the polls. Why? Because you knew and had access to everything that I had access to, and every person in this country had access to find out what Project 2025 was about, even though he denied it. What Agenda 47 I addressed in its entirety. You had access to find out everything that is going on now before it actually was happening like it is now. But you chose not to. You chose not to simply because you could not see this country having an African-American Indian woman sitting as the president of this United States, not because of her policies, but because of her melanin content. Let's just call it what it is. I want people to start pushing back on these people who sit there and say, yeah, but I didn't vote for all this. Yes, you did. And you knew what you were voting for. He showed you the first time. Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. You chose to overlook it. And you chose to go to the polls and vote for a convicted felon. In our court system, where a convicted felon, from what I know, and the people that look like me know, because we have a lot of people who have been considered convicted felons for the crimes they committed and the crimes they didn't, who have served time, can't even get a job at McDonald's in most cases. But this man is a convicted felon, and you chose to make him president of the United States. Make it make sense. So before you sit around here talking about, well, I didn't vote for this. Yes, you did. And I want people to start pushing back on those people who say they didn't vote for it. Now, some of them ain't going to tell you. And some of them going to tell you. They're not going to tell you. But the ones that speak, they just start, yeah, well, no, don't give me that. Don't give me that. You knew, but you chose to overlook it. Kevin Banks, and they thought it would not affect them or someone they knew. Exactly. That's why, it's all that old saying, the chickens have come home to roost. Malcolm X said it. The chickens have come home to roost because now that it's affecting them, now it's a different story. I didn't vote for this. Yes, you did. Every time you've gone to the polls, this is what you voted for. You voted for. This didn't just happen overnight. This is strategic. Strategic. Excuse me. I couldn't get that out. But yeah, this didn't just happen overnight. Let's go. Only the warrior who has faced battle truly knows its cost. Yet it's the spectators who shout the loudest. Everybody's got something to say about your life, but most of them, they've never fought your battles. They didn't feel the pressure. They didn't carry your fears. They weren't there when you almost broke, but didn't. So don't let their noise define you. Don't explain your scars to the unscarred. Respect your scars. They're not signs of weakness. They're receipts of your strength. You're not here for applause. You're here for alignment. Legacy isn't given, it's built. Own the journey. Embrace the power. Live the legacy. Lifegistics Coaching Solutions. Welcome back. So Lifegistics Coaching Solutions is my life coaching business. Anybody who needs some life coaching, needs some help setting goals, or if you know somebody, lifegisticscoaching.com. Life with a Y, lifegisticscoaching.com. Reach out to me. You can send me an email at lifegisticscoaching@gmail.com, and we'll get you on the thing. We'll do a intake, see where you're at, see what you need to do, or what you're going through, what you're dealing with. I'm not a therapist. It's life coaching, trying to help you get to the next level. That's all we're doing here. But let me get into this here real quick. And I want to have a little fun with this, but it's not funny. We're having a cookout. But who's invited to the cookout? I see a lot of things on Facebook and Instagram and everything. And I want to say it this way. My people, I love y'all. I love my people. I'm pro-black to heart. But y'all a little bit too inviting a lot of times. Y'all find little ways to just invite people out the blue, because they can do the line dance or boots on the ground, or you see them dancing to Frankie Beverly and know all the words, and they want our rhythm but don't want our blues. But we say, come on to the barbecue. You invited. Why are we so inviting for someone who may act or persuade you that they're part of the struggle with us, but you don't have that deep conversation about where they stand. See, I think we're inviting people to the cookout that are wolves in sheep clothing. Now, let's just call it what it is, wolves in sheep clothing, because see, they want our rhythm, but they don't want our blues. We're inviting people because they can do a line dance without knowing where they stand and what their stance is on what's going on in this country with people that look like you. See, we think about it this way, and I'm going to give you a little story. As a young kid, I had a lot of friends that were white, as well as black. But there's one white kid I used to hang with, play sports with, and everything. Lived across the street from. I'm not going to use names. Just if you know, you know. Just go to the house, play sports, do everything, all kinds of stuff. But then one day, they were going swimming. And he asked, "Can Rodney come?" "No, he can't come." "What do you mean he can't come?" "No, he can't come. He's not allowed." Now me, as a kid, I'm like, all right, I can't go, whatever. But as years went by, I realized why I couldn't go. The VFW that they were going to swim at, was at a golf course where we weren't allowed. Now, mind you, I'm 59 years old. This happened when I was about 12, 13. 12, 13 years old. But I can't go to the swimming pool. I come to your house, but I can't go to the swimming pool because the people at the swimming pool may not be as accepting as your parents. I say that because we are so accepting to invite anybody and everybody when and sometimes we forget the history of where we could go and couldn't go. Hell, there's places we can't even go sit at the table right now. Not because of what we don't know, but because of what we do know. And there's a lot of times where I see these things and I cringe because we're inviting these people into our spaces that won't even invite you in theirs. We're inviting people in our spaces that don't like us on a full scale, but like you as an individual. See, they don't view you as a black man or a black woman because you're different. See, let me go here. Me and my wife had this conversation one day. And it's funny how we've had the same experiences as being black in the conversations of, you're not like other black people. What? You're not like other black people. The way you speak, the way you carry yourself, wait a minute. Are all white people the same? I just have to ask this question. Are all white people the same? Because when you say that to me, it's like, wait a minute. What are you judging us on? What you've seen on TV as an actor portraying a role? Who are these other black people that I'm not like? 9 times out of 10, black people you have never met and don't know anything about. However, Trent Branch, I can relate. There was a white-only pool in my neighborhood. Oh, we all had them. Thanks for the comment. You see, as I mentioned, I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but we already in here now. Let's just go here. We have this mentality. That we have to invite and be inviting in order for us to be included. Let me say it again. We have to be open and inviting to everyone else for us to feel included or to be included in what they got going on. Now, this ain't knocking nobody. This ain't bashing nobody. But sometimes we have to step back and ask ourselves, why are we so inviting to everyone else when everyone else chooses to spit on us? I'm just going to say, to shit on us in any way they can. And we're supposed to just accept it and move on. And as I say, and I'm going to say it again, and I'll continue to say it because I want people to understand something. Just because I'm pro-black don't make me anti-white. But damn it, we got to call it what it is. Call it what it is. I can come to your house, but I can't come to an establishment where a bunch of y'all are at because I'm not invited because of how I look. I ain't did nothing to nobody. I haven't done anything to anybody. I ain't committed no crimes, but I can't walk through that same door that you walk through, which is a public arena. I would think most people would be more hesitant to invite me into their house than they would a public space where most of them are. But that's just me. So I say this, because we still in the throes of summer. The next time you decide you want to have you a little cookout or a little get together, be very, very aware of the people that you invite to the cookout. Because the people that we're inviting at this time don't have our best interest at hand. Call it what it is. Now, people would say, well, I got some, somebody would say, I got some good friends that are white now. Hold on, Colin, hold on. I get it. But let me ask you this question about your white friends. Just a question. Have you ever sat down and had an in-depth conversation with them about race relations? Have you ever sat down and had an in-depth conversation of where they stand on everything that's going on? Any of the things that have happened in this country, have you had an in-depth conversation about you as an African-American black person in this country and the struggles you've gone through? And with that person not being of color and knowing the things that have happened, have y'all had that conversation? Because if you haven't had that conversation, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time. Because sometimes what we do, we're so accepting that we overlook the reality of what it's all about. Let's just be real. Because I guarantee, they know everything about you, which is why they accepted you. Because why? You're not like the other black people. Let that marinate. Yeah, let that marinate. Because you're not like the other black people. Let's go. Straight talk. Let's get into this. Look here. I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Angel Reese became one of a handful of WNBA players who will be on the cover of the NBA 2K26 video game when it releases later this month. Sharing the honor with Oklahoma City Thunder star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and former New York Knicks great Carmelo Anthony. The Sky Star, and let's just go ahead and put the cover up for y'all. This is the cover with Angel Reese. The Sky Star joined Candace Parker, Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Sabrina Ionescu, and Asia Wilson on the WNBA edition covers, which first started with NBA 2K22 when the WNBA had its 25th anniversary. The announcement came the same day as Reebok announced her signature shoe, and she's wearing the footwear on the cover. And her comment was, "Of course we do everything big. Why not debut my signature shoe on the cover of NBA 2K?" is what Angel Reese wrote on X. Great accomplishment. She's doing work. A lot of people have a problem with Angel Reese. I have no problem with Angel Reese. Angel Reese has shown, first of all, let's start here. Angel Reese is an NCAA women's basketball champion. She has a championship. That's going to mean something as I get into this. But because she's on this cover, and she's a two-time All-Star in the WNBA in her second season. However, WNBA fans were all stunned that Reese was chosen over Indiana Fever, of course, Caitlin Clark, who received the most All-Star votes from fans this year, while Reese reposted a message on X saying being an Angel Reese hater must suck. LOL. There was plenty of criticism to go around. Now, Angel Reese, at this time, is averaging 13.3 points and 12.8 rebounds per game for the Chicago Sky this season. She was an All-Star last season. She's an All-Star this season as well. NBA 2K General Manager Zach Armitage explained to TMZ Sports on Wednesday why they chose Angel Reese. This is what he said. NBA 2K26 is celebrating the bold, the confident, and the visionaries, and WNBA's All-Star Angel Reese carries all that on and off the court, Armitage said. In her sophomore year in the WNBA, Angel Reese has made waves, created impactful conversations, and inspired the next generation. She's a storyteller and has helped the WNBA grow its audience. Now, the last two covers of the WNBA 2K26 was A'ja Wilson and now Angel Reese. And I pulled some of the comments about her being on the cover before I get into my diatribe. Let's get into this. It says, these are the last two NBA 2K WNBA edition video game covers. I just can't understand why they wouldn't put the most impactful, transcendent, and popular women's basketball player of all time, on the cover. It's baffling how bad this marketing move is. Now this is some other comments, not even a top 10 player in the WNBA, but she gets an athlete cover. Next comment, why couldn't we put the entire WNBA on the cover? There is no way in hell Angel Reese should be on a 2K cover before Caitlin Clark. I will never understand this. You have a generational player in your league, and it's not Angel Reese. Now, this was the last one. This could go down as one of the worst 2K cover works ever. Firstly, how was Angel Reese getting the cover before Caitlin Clark is crazy work. Secondly, what did Melo do in his NBA career other than score and rebound? He didn't win any titles. Yeah, he was on a few all-NBA teams. So it's not just criticism to Angel Reese. It's criticism across the board with Carmelo as well. The only person they really talk about is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because he's the current NBA MVP, season MVP, Western Conference MVP, and Western Conference Finals MVP, and NBA MVP. So it's a no-brainer with him, but people still have some opinions. But I want to, if you noticed, those comments all revolved around has to be the worst decision ever. This is the same conversation they had when A'ja Wilson got her signature shoe from Nike before Caitlin Clark. Now, I understand because I played basketball. I watch basketball. I think I know basketball. I'm good. But when we get into these debates about why somebody is on this and why somebody isn't on that, A'ja Wilson is a 3-time MVP. 3-time. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. 2-time NBA champion. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark came into the league in the same draft. Both have put up good numbers. Both are franchise players for the teams on the Indiana Fever for Caitlin Clark and Chicago Sky for Angel Reese. Both impactful players. They brought Caitlin Clark in like she was going to be the face of the WNBA and everything like this, and the fans and all this, and that's cool. She hasn't won a championship at any level. She didn't win in college. She hasn't won in the WNBA yet. Angel Reese has won at the NBA collegiate level. She beat Caitlin Clark in a championship game. Caitlin Clark went to the finals again and lost again. So if we're going to have this argument about Caitlin Clark, her accolades and everything like that, let's look at how they treat LeBron as well. But you know what? I don't even want to go there because this is not about him. This is about them. So I'm going to leave it as this. I'm going to say it this way. As I mentioned, Candace Parker, Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Sabrina Ionescu, and Asia Wilson were all on this cover before Angel Reese this time. Candace Parker has a shoe. Diana Taurasi had a shoe. Sue Bird had a shoe. Sabrina Ionescu had a shoe. Asia Wilson has a shoe. All these players are marketing tools for the companies. Some are Nike, some are Reebok, some are Adidas. Caitlin Clark is a Nike. She has a shoe. It hasn't come out yet. She's wearing a Kobe prototype right now that they've named under her, but her shoe is supposed to come. There were people in an uproar because they put Asia Wilson's shoe out before Caitlin Clark. Asia Wilson has won 2 championships, 2 WNBA championships. Why would she be second fiddle to Caitlin Clark, who has won nothing in the WNBA? Just a question. Marketing is what they do. But I want to get into this and say, Angel Reese is more than a cover when it comes to this game. And I want to say it because I brought this up before, but it keeps happening. Angel Reese gets the cover on 2K26. Within 24 hours, that picture there was changed to a picture of a monkey. I'm not putting it up. I didn't put it up because I'm not going to advertise for whoever's ignorance it was. But they changed this picture of her to a monkey. Same thing they did with Serena, Michelle Obama, Barack Obama. I don't know what these people's infatuation with monkeys is because, you know, I'm a digress from, I'm a Planet of the Apes guy. I love every Planet of the Apes ever made. Every Planet of the Apes ever made. And I think it's a symbolism of who was controlling what. The monkeys were controlling the humans. But that's another conversation for another day. I digress. However, I just don't understand the vitriol that folks have towards this young lady. What is Angel Reese? 21, maybe 23 years old, if that. Found a niche that she can play basketball. Plays it to the best of her ability. She may not be good all the time, but she tries her hardest when she's out there. Fashion. She's into fashion. She's got a big presence. She's got a podcast. She's got all these different things going on. And people were upset. But I want to say this in this manner. They're upset at this young lady for exhausting all possibilities of the talent that God has bestowed upon her. But at the same time, they're arguing and complaining about the young lady, not named Angel Reese, who is trying to make it out of her circumstances, may require a little assistance from SNAP or Medicaid or Section 8 or any of those type things. They're mad at her, and they're mad at her. So you're mad at the one who is getting what you told us to do, per se. Get out, get a job, do your thing, stop depending on the government. You're mad at her, but you're also mad at the one that the government is helping get a leg up. That may not look like your family member that is trying to get a leg up, but you have a problem with the one that don't look like your family member to get a leg up. And then you get so pissed that you change her into a monkey caricature on the cover of this. The cover's not going to change. The mindset's not going to change. The endorsement deals she gets aren't going to change because you're mad. What needs to change is the mentality that we can't have what you think we shouldn't have. Or that Caitlin Clark deserves to be on this cover because she's white, or you feel that she's more marketable To who? I guarantee, if you took a survey and had the statistics of the people demographically that play these video games like NBA 2K26 and all the demographics lean greatly towards us. So why wouldn't they put her there? Because I'll go out on a limb and say if they put Caitlin Clark on the front of this, sales probably would have dropped because of the demographic that buys these video games. I'm not making this up. You can go pull the numbers. I don't have the numbers, but I'm pretty sure that's what it comes down to. But it just seems to me that anytime our women are doing great things, it comes a reason for them to minimize it or to be pissed off about it. Why? You want us to not depend on the government, but then when we're not dependent on the government and doing everything we have the talent to do, you're pissed about that too. What are we doing? What are you doing? But I like you. You're not like the other black folks. Oh, I had to put that in there. So, Angel Reese, keep doing what you're doing. And support the WNBA. I'm a big WNBA fan. I'd rather watch WNBA than the NBA at this time because they play fundamental basketball. And I watch every game that comes on. The Aces are going to be playing after I get off here today, and I will be sitting on the couch watching them. Whether they win or lose, I'm going to watch them. Not having a good season. The Aces hurt, but that's another conversation. But this last part I want to get into, James Battle. It's the same thing with Cooper Flagg. He will get more attention and accolades because he's white and not necessarily because he's a good player. Yeah, and you know, the thing is, I was reading an article the other day about the Lakers. The Lakers just got sold. And management told Luka Doncic that they were selling, but they didn't tell LeBron James. What's that signal that they're sending? You're not important anymore. You've done everything you can do for us. Nah. So yeah, it just depends. Now I'm not saying there's racial undertones behind it, but I'm saying there's racial undertones behind it. Let's call it what it is. I mean, you know, it's not, you know, we don't want to keep calling it racism because what happens is you can't keep crying wolf because eventually ain't nobody gonna show up. You can't keep crying wolf because ain't nobody gonna show up. But truth is truth, whether they show up or not. The truth is the truth. So thanks, James Battle. Thanks for that. So this next thing I want to get into is the coach's corner. You know, as I say, I'm doing the life coaching and everything, but I want to bring this person up. This person that I'm going to talk about now is somebody that I admired from a distance. And that's a word I don't like to use too much, but I'm going to use it today. I admired from a distance. He's no longer with us. And that person is Stuart Scott. Stuart Scott, ESPN sportscaster. And he, born July 19th, 1965, passed away on January 4th, 2015 from a battle of pancreatic cancer. I'm sorry, appendix cancer. He had cancer in his appendix. But this picture here, I have in my phone. And I've had it in my phone since this picture came out. And it came out around the time when he was dealing with the cancer battle. And the shirt of saying, every day I fight. And he, even though he was going through his cancer treatments and everything, he still fought. He still got up. He worked out every day. He exercised. He did everything to live his life to the fullest extent in spite of what he was going through. And I think a lot of us need to really step back for a minute and look at ourselves and say, where are we selling ourselves short? Because when we get into these situations, not maybe to the extreme of cancer, but any situation we may come upon, we just start letting that overtake who we are. Who we are, our normal interactions, how we deal with people. We close ourselves in the house. We get away from everything because we feel like this is too much of a burden to carry. So I keep this in my phone as a reminder that any time that I'm going through something or I'm dealing with something, I pull up this picture. Every day I fight. Every day I fight. And then the other thing is, while he was battling cancer, he was doing MMA fighting training. He was doing the kicks and everything, but he wore glasses because, he had the eye problem. And I was reading an article, well, years ago, I read an article where a lot of people were thinking it was a glass eye, but that's not what it was. Stuart Scott's eye, when he was doing reporting for ESPN with the New York Jets, one of the machines that, they put in there to pass the ball out hit him in the eye. One of the balls hit him and it tore his retina and everything. So the eye was basically dead. He never had a glass eye or anything. It was just a dead eye. So he wore glasses, but he had the teleprompter right up on him so he could read and still do what he did with one eye. So there's obstacles that come our way that sometimes we look as roadblocks. Stuart Scott looked at every obstacle he came upon as a way to push forward, as just a challenge to make him stronger and become better than what he was. We all know Stuart Scott. Anybody knows him as from his old catchphrases, cooler than the other side of the pillow. He always used to say, "Oh, booyah." He must be, these are some of the things that he must be the bus driver because he just took him to school. And then, as I said, cooler than the other side of the pillow. He was more than a sportscaster. He was a person who is authentically himself no matter what. And that's what I want you to think about today. Are you being authentically yourself each and every day in each and every battle you come across? Because there's certain things in our lives that are going to change us. This is for sure. But are they changing us in a good way or a bad way? Are they helping us grow or making us stop? See, I look at Stuart Scott and I remember I would watch SportsCenter every night when he was on because I appreciated what he brought to the table. And if anybody knows, and I had this conversation with my brother Terrence, and I said to him, I said, hey, let me ask you a question. Do you think, because I don't like to do comparisons, I do facts. Do you think Screaming A. Smith, Stephen A. Smith for some of y'all, would be who he is today had Stuart Scott not passed away? Because Stuart Scott wasn't loud, wasn't braggadocious. He wasn't a guy, oh, look at me and all these type things. He wasn't that guy. But he had a pull towards him that made you want to listen. Without all the antics, just being his authentic self. And I think the other thing is to understand his story and everything he's gone through or was going through at the time made you gravitate to him just a little bit more. Because when we hear, a lot of us hear, the word cancer, first thing we think is, how long is this person going to be around in my life? How long am I going to be able to appreciate this person in the flesh? And I think to a certain extent, that was me, because I watched him for many years before the cancer and everything. But, there was something about, and there's something about certain people that we see that just makes us gravitate to them. The battles, yeah, it's a part of him. It's a part of him. But the other part of it is his perseverance, his fight. Every day I fight. I jokingly say that phrase from The Color Purple when things are going on and everything. I say, all my life I done had to fight, jokingly. But then I look and I think, what battles do we have to fight that we just give up or we don't put our all into? Oh, P-Row. Reggie P-Row. Remember that amazing speech he gave at the award ceremony? Yeah, I want to get into that in a minute. Thanks, bro. I stopped watching SportsCenter after he passed away. It just wasn't the same anymore. Yeah, it's hard. Stuart Scott had an authentic presence about him. Exactly. Authentic. What you see is what you got. What you seen was who he was. He didn't put on a facade. He didn't do it for the showboating. He did it to give you the information you needed in a way that only he could do it, because he was being himself. Reggie Piro brought up the ESPYs, and he gave this speech because it was his last, time when any of us would really see him in that sense, in 2014. And his speech wasn't about illness. It was about intention. His speech was all about intention. Be intentional in anything and everything you do. When he found out he had the cancer, he was intentional on staying the same course that he would if he didn't have it. And what he said in his speech was this: you beat cancer by how you live, why you live, and in the manner in which you live. You beat cancer by how you live, why you live, and in the manner in which you live. Authentic. Being himself. Not letting, as you hear me mention on here many times, roadblocks stop his progress to what he wanted to become and be in this life. So I say this in this Coach's Corner today about Stuart Scott to you. And what I'm going to say to you is this: stop selling yourself short. Stop halfway showing up for yourself. And I'm going to put it in these terms that are simplistic, but you can really understand. You show up for that job each and every day, on time, in the right mindset, to do what you know you need to do to keep employment. And let's flip it. When are you going to start showing up for yourself each and every day, on time, doing the things you need to do to stay healthy, and also letting yourself know you're worthy for anything and everything that comes your way, and working to become the best version of you? When are we going to do this? When are we going to stop saying, woe is me? As Trent Brand said, he didn't let his situation define him. Why are you letting your situation define you? Why? I had this conversation. I had this conversation, and we talked about in this conversation about how back in the day, when you didn't have a lot of money, or you was trying to make ends meet and everything, and you riding around with bald tires, because you couldn't afford tires, or the check engine light came on your dash and you kept riding because you was like, I got to get to work or anywhere else that I need to get to. You didn't let that red light stop you. You didn't let them bald tires stop you. You didn't let that oil light that was on your dash stop you, though the engine probably would have locked up if you wouldn't have eventually got that done. But I say that to mean this: we see so many roadblocks that we choose to ignore and continue pushing forward. Why do you allow the one that may seem hardest be the one to stop you? We have to get out of this mindset that a roadblock is a stop sign. We have to get into the mentality that what happens to me, as Trent Brand says, did not define me. What happens to me makes me stronger and makes me push harder to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish in this life. By letting these things define us, these roadblocks become stop signs. And when they become stop signs, you get comfortable at being uncomfortable with the situation you're in. Stop. And I mentioned this before, and I'm going to say it again today. The Williams Brothers song, Counted Victory, I've seen too many victories to allow defeat to have the last word. I've seen too many victories to let defeat have the last word. If that don't resonate with you about pushing forward, I don't know what will. But you got to get out of this mindset that these little obstacles we come across are stop signs rather than growth. It's about growth. It's about growing. It's about finding ways to become a better version of you no matter what the obstacles are, because we don't know the day or the hour that we may leave here. Stuart Scott did not know the day or the hour that he was going to leave here, but he continued to press on like he had forever, because he did not allow those obstacles to define him. He allowed them to refine his journey. Not stop it, but refine it. Change directions, pivot to what he wanted to be in spite of the things that were happening to him and his body. James Battle, I want to take a moment and ask for prayers for my brother. He was recently diagnosed with esophageal cancer and is currently going through treatment for it. Prayers are appreciated greatly by us all. Appreciate that, James Battle. We will all send prayers up to your brother, because as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, your brother's my brother because you're my brother. And we go way back. So anybody out there, put some prayers up for his brother. You know, we're all fighting battles, and I want to send a prayer out to all y'all, because we are dealing with something. Somehow, some way, we're all dealing with something. However, whatever that something is doesn't define who you are. It should refine who you are. That's it. Fight those battles. You beat cancer by how you live, why you live, and in the manner in which you live. Stuart Scott. Every day I fight. I would encourage you, if you can find this picture, I'll put it up on my page. I've had it up on a couple times. Put it in your phone. Put it somewhere where you can look at it and remind yourself. All the fighting he did, he never gave up. Never gave up. And we give up over the smallest things. Smallest things. Praying healing for your brother, Mr. Battle. Yes, sir. Thank you, Brian Hoodie. Appreciate that. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I appreciate everybody coming in today. Hopefully you got something from the show. Hopefully it was thought-provoking, made you think about things a little differently, but also motivated you in order to see where you're falling short in your own battle and where you need to pick up and start running again. Stop walking blindly. Stop walking blindly in what you want to do. You come up with plans every day at work. In your work, you got plans on how you're going to get things done. Change that over and start putting a plan on your life and how you're going to accomplish these things in the time you have left here. We don't know the day or the hour, but we do know we got time to make it happen. I appreciate y'all, and I'll be back again next week. And as I always say before I sign off, y'all say it with me because I know y'all know it by now. I know you know it. Love yourself, love one another, keep your head up, and most definitely keep your faith in God. I love y'all. I'm praying for each of y'all, and we'll be back again next week. And I'm out. Love y'all. Peace.